This one's for the kids who say they can't do math.
Feeling on the track.
Yeah, you can.
Nothing can stop you, so just listen up. I'm gonna teach you something about long division. After watching this, we'll do it with more precision. I'm coming at you hard. My name's Team Building. Time to master divide and dividend.
First divide these two numbers. Then multiply 6 times 6. Subtract 36 minus 36.
Divide.
Hey, what's up? I am Ms. Pittman, 6th grade math teacher at East McDowell Middle School. I was just going to give you a little bit of that division rap my kids and I like to do. They kind of think I'm crazy sometimes when I pull out all that stuff. But today we're going to be looking at long division. Long division is one of those skills that has kind of shifted. It used to be taught early elementary school, or 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and then as we have changed over with Common Core, 3rd and 4th grade, they really start looking at the understanding of division. 5th grade, they really starting to explore it, and then when they come to me, yay, we get to start actually working with long division. So a lot of times parents are really glad to see that once they get to 6th grade is, hey, they're doing long division the way that I used to do it. And yes, they are. So they do eventually get to that point. It's just we really want as educators for them to learn what division is before we just kind of like jump right in and start dividing. So those early years, 4th, 5th grade, are super important to build the foundation of division. And don't worry, once they get to 6th grade and middle school and high school, they're going to start dividing the way that you guys do. We just want them to have a better understanding and a better foundation before they move on. So that little rap that you guys watched just a second ago, I hope my words are not showing backwards. I know last time my words showed backwards. So if you guys can give me a thumbs up on the screen in the comment section if my words are showing up correctly this time. My kids and I, we kind of sing through this song or say the words as we go through. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and bring it on back. So as we're kind of going through it, hey Daylon, miss you. I'm glad you're with me. So we kind of go through, I start singing, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. So we kind of have that going through. As we're working through it, just to kind of get those steps in place when we're working with long division. So I'm going to take this little chart here and post it back here and hope it doesn't fall. It likes to fall when I put things back here sometimes in my makeshift remote classroom here that I'm working out of the next few weeks. So we're just going to take a look at a simple long division problem. 472 divided by 3. This is just a very simple long division problem. One thing I like to tell my guys to do is to write out the multiples when they do this. So this time we're just going to be looking at the multiples of 3. It kind of gets them, instead of having to think about all their times tables, that they can kind of go ahead and take a minute and then they can get it worked out. So I'm going to lay my paper down right here, and then I'm going to write out my multiples. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Take a look and make sure I didn't miss any. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. So really I was just skip counting by 3s to get my multiple of 3. Now it makes me be able to work this a little bit easier instead of having to think about all my times tables. So, let's go through standard algorithm of long division. All right, so step 1, remember the song, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it on down, bring it on back. So, how many times we're going to divide? 3 divides into 4, 1 time. There's the one, it goes 1 time, so the 1 is going to go up here in the top for the quotient. So multiply, 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract, 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring it on down. So I'm going to bring my 7 down and bring it on back. That is right there where the number one thing where the kids tend to get lost. They get right here and then they stop. I like that part of the song because it says, and bring it on back. So that means we're going to go back up and do the process again. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. We go through the process again. So I'm going to go back again. Divide. 3 divides into 17. Let's go over here. Right there would be the closest one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 times 5 is 15. I can't write upside down really well. So multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. 17 minus 15 is 2. Bring it on down and bring it on back. So that means we're going to go back up to divide again. Divide. 3 divides into 22. We can look over here again. 21's the closest. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Multiply. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract. 22 minus 21 is 1. And now there is nothing left to bring down. When I see there isn't anything left to bring down, I know at that point that I'm finished with this basic long division problem. Now, this right here, if you remember, what do we call that digit right here that's left at the bottom? Let's see if anybody can respond. What do we call that? All right, good. It's the remainder. Now, when you first start out with long division, you just kind of tend to leave it as a remainder. As you go on into 6th grade, we start learning about different things to do with the remainder. So with your remainders, that's the leftovers. At that point, you can change them to fractions and you can change them to decimals. We'll come back to this just in a few minutes on this problem we just looked at. But I want us to take a look at a different problem that does not have just one digit divisor, sorry. So we have 15 here. Now, I don't know about you, but as I tell my kids, I don't keep my 15 times tables in my head. Even as a math teacher, I don't keep those memorized. So there again, I like them, especially when they're just learning, to write out the multiples of 15. This one might take a little bit longer because you may have to count up a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and write them down. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135. That's going to make it a little bit easier for me to work my division. I won't have to dig around for all these numbers all the time. All right, so here we go. We're going back to our song. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. Bring it on down, bring it on back. So divide. 15 divides into 34. Now, if I didn't have my multiples here, I wouldn't get it as quick. So I can see that 30 is the closest one without going over. So that is 1, 2. That is a 2. 2 times 15 is 30. Multiply 2 times 15 is 30. Subtract 34 minus 30 is 4. Bring it on down. Bring it on back to divide. Remember, that's where the kids tend to get stuck, is they forget to bring it back up to divide again. Divide. 15 divides into 47. Again, I can look which one is the closest without going over. It's going to be 45. So that's 1, 2, 3. 3 times 15 is 45. Subtract. And we have a remainder of 2. Okay? Now, just a second ago, I told you that when we get remainders, that's how we typically start out with. We also can do different things with those remainders, and that's one of the key things in 6th grade is knowing what to do with the remainder, because previously we would just say remainder of 1 or remainder of 2. But you can change them to fractions and decimals, and it's actually really simple, especially the fraction. So this is the original problem I had just a second ago. It was our very first problem. And we had a remainder of 1 right here. So to write it as a fraction, you take what you have left over, the remainder, which was a 1. That becomes a numerator. And then your divisor, which was a 3, becomes the denominator. So it's 1/3. It's super simple to write it as a fraction when you have a remainder. Now the decimal, it works the same way. You can see I've added a little bit here to this one. When you have a decimal, or you're changing the remainder to a decimal, you will add a decimal 0. Now when I add a decimal 0, it doesn't change the value of the answer or the dividend, 472. It's like when you think about money, you know, $1, 1.00. It doesn't change its value. So it just gives me a new digit to work with. So I put a decimal here and a decimal up here in my answer. I'm going to bring down that. So now I have a 10 to work with. 3 divides into 10 3 times. Notice it's behind the decimal. 3 times 3 is 9. And then I have a now remainder of 1. You can keep going on and on and on with this when you're working with the decimal. You can add another 0, drop it down, and see what the next digit's going to be. This is what is on the calculator when you put in a number as a calculator and you get those crazy decimals on a calculator. This is what that typically is where they've changed it to a decimal, and you're thinking of, well, I should have a remainder, but what's happened is the calculator's changed it as a decimal. And you can kind of practice that. So again, parents, I know division's one of those things that you're kind of like, oh my gosh, why are they not dividing the way they do when I was in school? They will. They will. When they get to middle school, they will. They really start looking at it in 5th grade, but 6th grade, we get to that. And I think it's kind of a relief for parents when they see it, that we do still divide the old school way as they get older. So I hope this was a help. It's a good refresher, not just for my current 6th graders, but also 7th, 8th, and even for the upcoming 5th graders to go ahead and look at, because we're going to be doing it soon. So I hope this was a help, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!